Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Council. I am Luke Anthony Walsh, and joining me is the Jonathan Van Tam to my Chris Whitty. It is Mr. Michael Brown. Michael,
Hello.
how are you? Happy New Year.
Yes, it's the new year. I am so excited. Of course, we've already uploaded one show from the new year,
From the
but
future.
I know, yeah, it's crazy. But this is our first show we're actually recording in the new
Yes.
year, so we're very excited about that.
Before we
And
begin, how
happy.
was your Christmas and New Year? Did you feel like you needed to cancel a lot of things? Did Santa cancel your Christmas?
Actually, my Christmas I think was better than my New Year, which I guess is not surprising. With Christmas, there was like enough going on, and I also feel like it's more acceptable for Christmas to be sort of like a small affair, whereas with New Year was when it felt like pretty peak without having a large number of people there. So yeah, the New Year was more disappointing than Christmas. What about yours? How was your Christmas
It
and New
was
Year?
very quiet. I
Mm.
was sort of spent most of the day playing Minecraft and just being a nerd.
Yeah,
But
no.
nerd. But yeah, here we are on the other side, still in national lockdown, and the world is on fire. But here we are. That's why the cancel is now a thing. We're here to discuss our cancel issues and go over this week's headlines. And I imagine we have plenty to pick up from. I'm going to go first. Because they have already been cancelled, let's make it official. Kimye are no longer a thing. They shall be cancelled.
Yes. I must admit, I didn't read into the story that much. I just saw something like it was I can't really remember the substance of it, but it was a reference to Heartless by Kanye West. It was something like Kanye West fell for a woman so heartless, and I didn't really. So yeah, tell me the exact details of it because I'm not
Okay.
up to date on the
Okay,
goss.
so this came out on my birthday of all days, but a lot of other things did came out on my birthday, as we'll
Yes,
discuss in this
yes, you had a
podcast.
very
Uh,
exciting birthday.
um, so it emerged that Kim Kardashian has asked for a divorce from Kanye West. They married in a time ago. Uh,
Yeah, I think it
but
lasted longer than you would have expected it to.
well, she was previously married to a guy for like 40 odd days.
Yeah,
Uh, I I first said Lamar, but that's the other one.
I think wasn't it a guy
Um,
called Ray J?
yeah, I thought it was Ray J, but keep talking. Let me call up my
Okay, I'll
facts.
just name other people who
So
it
she
was.
was okay, right? I got it. Thanks, Wikipedia. So she was married to Chris Humphries from 2011 to 2013, and then Damon Thomas from 2000 to 2004. Which I swear she was married for a guy for like 40 days because they made
Maybe
out
maybe they
shit.
were engaged for like 40 days. That could be
I
like
don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Anyway, are you familiar with Jeffree Star?
Yes, I am familiar with Jeffree Star.
So allegedly, and this is what we are led to believe, Jeffree Star and Kanye West have had a thing, which has obviously led to the split with Kim Kardashian. So if you had said in 2018 that Kanye West would have a thing with Jeffree Star, a YouTuber, which would lead them to break up in 2021, I mean that's 2021 bingo, right?
I know, yeah, that's actually quite an exciting. So yeah, I didn't realize that whole thing about Jeffree Star getting some on the side. Well, good for him, I guess. What a little home wrecker. But ultimately, I mean,
I think
it's
his content is already home wrecking. Let's be honest.
yeah, I know, yeah. But that's the thing with Kanye. In a way, nothing can surprise you at this point. I think ever since he really just leaned into the whole being crazy thing, which I feel like it really happened weirdly. I hate to say it, but it kind of felt like it started really snowballing when he
Mm,
came out as a very serious Christian. And ever since he's done that, he's just said like more and more crazy things. Like he came out as a
mm,
Christian, then it was like Joel Osteen, who's considered a bit of a dodgy character, was like a really great guy. And then he
yeah,
said he was going to run for president and stuff, and now
yeah.
it's just yeah.
Which
But
fair play, he did and lost magnificently.
yeah, no, yeah, it was kind of impressive how few people. You would have thought there'd be more people, voting for him as a joke, but I guess they already had a joke candidate, Donald Trump. Hey,
Hey,
no, but yeah, I guess I'll. I'll agree with you that it makes sense to me that they are cancelled. I don't have much active interest in them to cancel them, but I agree that they are most definitely cancelled.
There was an analogy that came out when Mike Tyson, no, not Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather,
Yes.
said with his fight with Logan Paul, um, in that you may not like me, you may despise me, you may think I rot in hell, but you're still going to watch my content. You're still going to watch my fight.
No
And I
such thing
think,
as bad publicity.
this is it. And I think that is Kanye West in a nutshell. Because as much as we can say he's the worst human being on earth, or one of the worst, um, people will still find him popular. It's why he as I would say main evented. He headlines Glastonbury not too long ago. It's
Mm.
why you know, he renamed himself Yee. I mean, it's
Yee.
he's not going Yee now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just intriguing, and sort of we live in this society now that
It's just about
in
being
another
creative.
time, these allegations and these stories would absolutely swipe a person off the radar, a la Watergate, or a la sort
Mm.
of, Michael Jackson, and even OJ Simpson to an extent. But now it's perfect game. It's remarkable.
Yeah. Just got to be as crazy as you can. I think we need to be a bit more crazy, but not me. I'm too normal.
Well,
Okay.
let's get into that later on. But
Yeah. Well, let's get
Michael,
into
what
my
is your cancel issue?
totally outlandish. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure which one of these to cancel first, so I think I'm going to cancel this one first. The it's a COVID thing.
Right.
Schools closed recently,
Okay.
and or I guess rather haven't opened really because we're just done from Christmas break. And my what I want to cancel is the government response specifically, or let's say government preparedness
Mm,
for closing schools. And this is my issue with it. Okay, we can go into the government response of COVID more broadly, but I think this way we get more things to cancel out of it if we take it little bit by little bit. And
mm,
my specific issue with the whole schools thing is I think an argument could be made that most stuff that's being taught in schools, most of what's called the curriculum,
mm,
should be accessible independently anyway by
mm,
anyone. And the reason I say that is because we're literally paying for it. The
mm,
taxpayer is paying it. It's public education. So I
mm,
would think, why not? You're the government, you have all this money. Why not just hire somebody, could even be a famous YouTube personality if you like, to just kind of do a couple of edutainment YouTube channels where you just teach the school curriculum. And that
mm,
way, people who, there's like two benefits. One, people who are like maybe a bit older who didn't pay attention to school and are now thinking, oh
mm,
man, I wish I would have paid attention to school. They can go back. Like, I wouldn't mind being able to go back and just look at one of the, look at my little William the Conqueror lesson again, just watch it
mm,
again. But also, obviously, it means that children who maybe they didn't pay attention in class, they can just go back and watch it. And
mm,
of course, the big thing is it would mean that we would be totally prepared for something like this, where children aren't allowed to go to school. And I just think, given that there's so much like edutainment, that I mean, we did our masters, and one of the things we were looking at was edutainment with old
mm.
Laurie, remember? So
Yeah.
yeah, we looked in. There's so much edutainment now on YouTube, on the internet in general, that
Mm,
there really is no excuse for the government not to have been like, well, just as a backup, people going to school, that's great. The interaction between teachers and students, wonderful. But as a backup, let's have all of this curriculum up in edutainment format. And they just didn't do it. And I just think it would have been so easy, and it arguably would have actually had ancillary benefits in terms of, keeping children interested and actively wanting to learn.
mm.
And they just didn't do it. And I'm upset with them.
So okay, let's break down
Mm.
your issue,
Break it
because
down.
break it down. Dun, dun. Anyway, so obviously we can both sit here now, like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme of Alexa, what is education?
Mm.
Because we have essentially reached the top of the mountain. Um,
Yes.
but
Dr. Michael. Dr. Luke.
hey, there ain't no doctor in this house.
I know,
Um,
yeah. There's no
but
like word for masters apart from, I guess
genius. Just that's the word,
genius.
genius.
Yeah.
But obviously they've broken it down into so many levels. So obviously we've seen that GCSEs and A levels uh, will be cancelled in replacement of teacher assessments,
Hmm.
which I think has been a move that has caught everyone by surprise. I mean, obviously, it's made the path to progress a lot easier for once. So I think that's a benefit.
Mm.
Um, we're seeing the BBC come out with some amazing, like, it makes a change that we're actually agreeing, saying the BBC are producing some great educational content as they've
Yeah.
always done
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
with BBC Bite Size, and they've really got behind that.
Mm.
Um, I mean, with schools closing, I mean, obviously the balance is, well, obviously, um, we have the schools are open for vulnerable kids and children of key workers. But online content and I guess Zoom lessons and e-learning should have been what sort of was happening since September.
Yes.
Um, or what you do, and I should do. And I was thinking about this the other day, is that what we've seen with the Premier League and with football back in March and April in the first lockdown is that, you know, if you want to stop education, just stop it and then just postpone, the lessons and the rest of the academic year to a later date, and then push it,
Mm.
adjust it around. If that means Saturday school, that means Saturday school. If that means later school days, that means later school days. But you can much rather accommodate that during the summer than you can in the winter. And so I think that there's ways and means, and I think there are a lot of options on the table. But I think, yeah, the government approach, and that it wasn't clear in the sense that,
Yeah.
which path was going to be taken. And I do feel for kids right now, both for primary and secondary education, where there is so much uncertainty and that not even the adults know what's going on next. And, the
Mm.
support that they got. I know my former head teacher received a press release from the Department of Education on Sunday evening, literally the day before, not even 12 hours before he was meant to open the school gates. I mean, it's
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine
insane.
that. Yeah.
It's utterly insane.
Yeah, and of course, also you get all of these parents out there who have to be working from home while
Mm.
they've got like their 6 and 7 year old kids around just
Yeah,
screaming. Yeah, so overall, I mean that's kind of the thing in a way. Like the real, I would argue that the big loss here should have been just the daycare aspect of school, the fact that it
mm.
means that the children can get out of the parents' hair for a bit. But obviously, what's in fact been lost is that these kids are just like learning nothing. So
Yeah, yeah,
I do like want to be like remember in The Simpsons when the school goes on strike and Milhouse gets home, he's like, "Mom, Dad, the school's on strike," and they're like, "We know, and we've already hired you a tutor." I do want to imagine like just being one of those parents. That would be fun.
What I also find intriguing, and you brought up a good point about edutainment on YouTube. That, are two channels, and I'm sure we're both as familiar as each other. Tom Scott and QI. I
Mm,
mean, you can watch any video that they produce, and you get like endless amount of education and information from it.
yeah, exactly.
Of course, you went to the same university as Tom Scott, as I've reminded
As
you on
you,
more than
yeah,
one occasion. Um, and yeah, the things that he explores, obviously are out of the box, but that's the sort of things we should be teaching children, to not just conform and
yeah,
learn the basics of the curriculum, but expanding that knowledge further. So I think it's interesting, and obviously QI is one of the most educated and academic shows you can find about useless facts about snoring and hiccups and
yeah,
you name it, they study it. So
yeah.
yeah,
I think basically the legacy of this period is going to be loads of kids who can't tell you how to solve a binomial equation, but they'll be able to tell you the seventh king of Archduckerberg in Russia or
exactly.
something. Like, oh, great, fantastic. Thanks, QI. Anyway, do you want to hear some news? Oh, actually, do you want to? Are we going to do comments? I don't know if
Yes,
I
yeah.
don't know what
So
we've
I
got
think we
actually.
have definitely officially cancelled the government's approach to
Oh yes, of
education
course.
circa January 2021. So that is definitely cancelled. So yeah, let's come on to some YouTube comments. I've noticed a couple has emerged from our previous uploads. Michael, do you want to go first?
I haven't actually found any yet.
So I found some on our previous video. Only one said cancel hand sanitizer, boys.
Oh
That's
yes,
from
I heard that.
Joyce. I mean, it's it's pretty essential. So if we cancelled it, we're, in our universe, we're sort of saying that we don't have access to it. So I'm not so sure. In another comment from episode number 4, he said, "I'd like to cancel Luke for constantly jiggling his camera."
Oh
Well,
yes, I
fuck
yes I saw
you. Um, that's what you get. I was just merely rambling on. I'm trying to think to see if there's any other comments to note. But we do have up to 40 subscribers, so we are doing well.
yes.
So before too long, we'll overtake Logan Paul, and we'll be challenging PewDiePie before too long. If
Yes.
you have any comments or any issues that you want us to look at, you can get in touch with us. Michael, what's the best way for us to get in touch with?
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's cancel council YT at gmail.com, and that is, in case you wanted that in perhaps a more melodious format, it would be CANCELCOUNCIL YT at gmail.com
Amazing.
to email us all of your issues you'd like to cancel. And where else can they get in contact with us, Luke?
They can
Or
also
follow
follow us
us?
on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. It is Council YT. That is CANCELCOUNCIL.
Okay, let's get into the news.
YT. On Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, we'd love to hear from you, and we'll be reading out your comments. So, let's crack on with the news. A lot has happened in the last 7 days. Let's dive straight into it. Where do you want to start, Michael?
I think I'm going to start with the most boring news because, and then we'll get into the more exciting news. I've got 5 stories, although 3 of them are about pretty much the same story. I'm sure you can imagine what it is. First of all, you mentioned Roald Dahl. I think it was in our first episode, maybe our second episode,
Yes.
to do with him being anti-Semitic. Well,
Yes.
turns out I've got some relevant news for you. It's to do with the Fantastic Mr. Fox. I don't know if you've heard of the film remake of Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Is that the one with
It's by
Wes
Wes
Anderson?
Anderson. Yes, Wes Anderson. Apparently, this is from the Slate.com. A racist moment in Fantastic Mr. Fox, and it talks about how George Clooney is an upper middle class fox, and he has a disagreement with a black wolf. He's very much against black wolves, and in the end, he holds up a fist as a black power sign in order to placate the black wolf. And Lauren Bands, writing for Slate, thinks that this actually has a racist subtext of implying that black people are stupid and can just be easily placated with symbolic gestures from middle class white people. What do you think? Do you think Fantastic Mr. Fox has inherited Roald Dahl's wicked racism?
I mean, where do we start with that? I mean, obviously, when was Fantastic Mr. Fox written? Let's provide some context.
Yes. Yeah, it must have been ages ago. Oh, actually, you'll also be delighted to know, by the way, that my we did the Guess Who game. Like when you kind of write a name on your forehead and you've got to guess who you are.
Yeah.
It's like a classic. Yeah, we did that at Christmas, and my sister was Roald Dahl, and she had no idea.
Massive racist, Semite.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she. The funny thing is, she reached a point where she had no idea who she was, and she started trying to spell the name phonetically. And the issue was that Roald Dahl is quite a strange name, so she was like Roal. What kind of a name is that? And you kind of think like, yeah, because Roald Dahl, it's one of those names where if you just spell it out, it sounds weird. But yeah. Anyway, when was
So
Fantastic
it was
Mr. Fox?
originally published in 1970.
Just
So
when the Black Panthers were doing their thing.
exactly, and the Black Panthers meaning are we referring to Mexico City?
Oh, I don't know. I just know about like in Forrest Gump when you got the Black Panthers. Remember in Forrest Gump?
Oh
And
yes, 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 yes,
yeah,
yes.
those
So
guys.
um, obviously the moment in I think it was Mexico City. Keep talking. Let me just do my research.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure if this Black Wolf thing was just added to the adaptation, because obviously the weird thing about these Roald Dahl adaptations is I'm pretty sure all of Roald Dahl's books were just like 30 pages long. Like none of them were that long, I don't
Exactly.
think.
Yeah. So
So
it
it's
was
kind of like, yeah.
Mexico City, 1968. It was the Black Power protest. I don't know whether you've seen the iconic image of Tommy Smith and John Carlos raising their black gloves fist during the gold medal ceremony. Um, so obviously, whenever he was writing, it was of its time, and I guess I think this is what the whole issue has been in 2020 and currently in 2021 is that we look back on text, be it comedy, be it um,
Music.
music, film, where we've said things that really aren't funny anymore. I mean, and I think we've done that already in entertainment, where yeah, you look at the minstrel men and you look at pollywogs and you look at symbols of racism, which have been amazingly eradicated quite quickly.
Yeah.
So actually, it's just a phase, and I think.
Yeah, we're
I
just
mean,
shooting past it.
I guess they can edit out the scene. I guess. I think. I don't know. Um, but it's
Yeah,
something
it's
to
pretty
think about.
tame.
But it's on the other hand, if you keep it in, it sort of keeps to the story of the book. The book. I'm thinking of Dumbo,
Oh
from
yeah, yeah.
just the famous John Crowlaws,
Yes.
and that's one of the biggest subtext that really can stay with you, because when you sort of understand that and you get your head around that, is that sort of gives you an insight into not only the world in which the film was produced in, but also the messages in which it was trying to convey.
That was a really good song. I've been unseen about everything.
Hmm.
Like, shame it's just why did the crows have to be black? Anyway, now next story, speaking of black, Dane's rage over children's television about the
Oh yeah.
world's longest penis. This is from Telereport. A new Danish TV series for children has provoked strong reactions. It's about an animated old man, John Dillerman, who has the world's longest penis. And there was a particular story I liked. I can't think of where it was. There was a very good line I liked. Sometimes in the TV series, John's penis moves forward when he needs a longer leash for the dogs, or when a neighbor needs help raising the flag. Sometimes it lives its own life and then it becomes embarrassing, like when it steals an ice cream from a child. What do you think about this Danish TV show about an incredibly long penis that steals an ice cream from a child? Does that sound like something which people have a justified reason to protest this show about a long penis? I think this goes to show that Europeans are still weird.
Did you see that? Did you see the still from the first episode of him just standing there, like just knees bent, arms out, and just his schlong is setting a barbecue on fire. I mean,
Oh yes,
it really is. And I love the way the Guardian has described it as so it's about John Dillerman, the man with the world's longest penis who overcomes hardships and challenges with his record-breaking genitals. And of course, a Danish author, Annelise Marstrand Jorgensen, has said, "Is this really the message we want to send to children whilst we're in the middle of a huge Me Too wave?" I mean, of course, Me Too was going to be dragged in. A clinical psychologist, Ella Heinzen Hosted, said John Dillerman talks to children, shares their way of thinking, and kids do find genitals funny.
Children.
Which
Yeah.
is.
But this, what they talk about with like setting unrealistic standards for children. Like it's like porn sets unrealistic standards, and obviously Barbie sets unrealistic standards. I mean, this show, children are going to be sat there going, "Oh, I guess I'm rubbish. My penis can't light a barbecue."
Oh god, that's a separate issue altogether. Before too long, we'll just have children trying to light a barbecue with their willies. I mean, that's another discussion. and sort of the psychologist Hodgson conceded that the timing was poor, and that a show about bodies might have considered this depicting difference and diversity beyond an oversized dilla, which is dangerous slang for penis, and dilla man literally means penis man.
Oh dear.
But this is categorically not a show about sex. To pretend it's projects out adult ideas on it. So
Yeah.
it's, I mean, what a start to 2021, huh?
I know,
What?
yeah. It genuinely, I do feel like this just comes down to this is why Brexit needed to happen, because these Europeans are just so strange with the
Hey,
things that they
hey,
do. First of
at
all,
at
cuties.
least it wasn't like Peter Schmeichel waxing bacon off his backside. I mean, that would have been that
Yes,
was truly
exactly.
Danish.
Yeah, these guys are very very interesting. Anyway, so I've got three stories, but they're all around one story. And I think in the interest of expediency, I'll just run all three of them by you in one go. So one, Biden victory confirmed after 4 die amid Capitol riots. This is of course the story of the riot where these protesters stormed the Capitol building, and subsequent.
I'm just going to lift the curtain, but behind our recording just for a second. We were meant to have recorded this. Yesterday, we're
Yes,
recording this a day later than we normally do,
because it was your birthday.
and because it was my birthday, and I was having a great virtual time with my friends, and I just see on social media that the world is on fire.
Yes, exactly.
Um, and what I found most remarkable is that if somebody had said to me that on my birthday that Kim Kardashian and Kanye West would split up, and that the world would be on fire, um, I would have laughed at them, but believed them.
Yes,
So
exactly. It's a magical
uh,
time.
it's yeah. So glad that we waited 24 hours to record this,
No, yeah. Otherwise, it
so
would
we
have been
could
a
discuss this.
disaster. Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting this to be as crazy as it was. And this is from The Hill. Democratic lawmakers call for Pence to invoke 25th Amendment and remove Trump from office. So basically, people are now saying we can't wait until the 21st of January
Mm,
when Biden will be inaugurated, and he probably still will be inaugurated despite everything that's happened.
mm.
We need to get Trump out now because just having him in office right now is dangerous. And finally, the Democratic Party, they might be up to some stuff, but according to Bloomberg, as of today, the 7th of January 2021, Iraq issues an arrest warrant for President Trump. So
Mm,
Iraq, basically, they've concluded that his extrajudicial strike on the Iranian general Soleimani
mm,
was illegal because he was basically lured out under false pretenses and then killed when he wasn't expecting it without
mm,
any risk of life,
mm.
and it was done in Iraqi territory. So Iraq and Iran have now both decided that Trump should be arrested. So we'll see how that works out.
That says a lot. I mean, let's delve into this. I mean, this all started because their election results were being ratified, um, and would have been just certified, and of course we had the Georgia runoff as well. So that was the original context
Yeah.
of this story. Now, I believe, quote me if I'm wrong, it was the Democrats who won both the Georgia runoffs, correct?
Yes. Yes. So the
Yes.
Democrats now have control of the Senate.
Yes, which is again a huge movement. Do they have the House as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
They
it's a clean
control
sweep. It's a
all,
clean sweep.
yes, everything.
So there was that. Then there was a rally by our good friend and Borat breakout star Rudy Giuliani,
Mm.
who was talking about now is the time for action. He was saying literally a marching cry for action to be taken into their own hands. And then it unfurled from there. And they burst into the Capitol buildings, the first invasion and siege on Capitol Hill for the first time since 1814.
Hey,
I
we
mean,
did it.
it's just insane. One woman is dead. Believe it or not, a Trump supporter and a U.S. Army Air Force veteran, I believe it was,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just yeah. Of all the things that sort of happened yesterday, in celebrating my birthday, and it was funny because I was on. line playing Among Us with my friends.
Mm.
With a friend of mine who's a Twitch streamer, and we're playing online, we're having a good laugh, and he was saying, "Oh, it's nothing more than just a protest. It's just a protest leading to it." And I was just, and like from what I was seeing, and this is coming from me who's just spent 4 years studying Trump, getting my degrees off Trump,
Mm.
and sort of letting this unfurl. This is not a protest. This is a
Yeah.
huge moment. Bear it in mind, right? And this is an interesting point. The power play could still happen. They could impeach Trump, which means will give us Mike Pence, but he could pardon Trump in doing so. That could still be the power play, which means Trump gets away free, and that we would it would be worse than the original position would be in. That could still
Yeah.
happen between now and the 21st of January. We've got what,
3 weeks. No,
2 weeks
2 weeks. Sorry. Yeah.
for that to still happen. Could you like it blows people's minds, but that could still happen. It happened with Nixon. It could happen with Trump. So it's just fascinating viewing, and the fact where we got to this point shows how mental the world is. And you know what? I don't know whether you saw online the way they were doing the how it started, how it was going.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I've seen all those. Yes.
Using pictures from Obama's inauguration because nobody
Yes.
showed up for Trump's one because he said people showed up and he didn't. I mean, like it's just it's just mental.
Yes. It's all, and I think yeah, the crazy thing about it is just that it's so pointless because Trump lost. The funny thing about it that always gets to me, and will never not, is these people think the election was rigged, even though like these people are absolutely flabbergasted at the fact that Trump didn't win. They think, oh, it could only have happened because it was rigged. And you think Trump hasn't won. In fact, no, never mind Trump. A Republican hasn't won the popular vote, or sorry, only won the popular vote once
Mm,
since in the last 30 years. Like the only time they won the popular vote was in 2004.
yeah,
You know, they didn't win it in 92. They didn't win it in 96. They didn't win it in 2000. They didn't win it in 2008. They didn't win it in
yeah, of
2012. Didn't
course,
win it in
yeah,
2016. Didn't win it in 2020. And they're still out there going, how could we have lost?
yeah.
Everyone loves us, despite
Mm,
the fact that the majority of the population has only voted for us once in the last 30 years. And it
mm,
just shows, yeah, it's like the only question I really have, or the question I've had for a long time now is, how many of these people are really true believers and how many of them just want Trump in charge because they like Trump and they don't really believe the election was stolen? And I do genuinely wonder, because it's like the crazy thing about this kind of post-truth era we're living in
mm,
is these people, even as they're storming the Capitol and claiming to be defending democracy and stuff, I'm like, do they really believe that the Democrats stole the election?
mm,
Or are they just like, do they just want Trump in charge? Because
mm,
obviously Trump doesn't really believe. Like we all know, Trump does not actually believe the Democrats stole the election. Trump is just using this to, bolster support for him. But yeah, I genuinely wonder how many of these people, like people who died, are true believers. It remains
mm,
to be seen, I guess. But it is interesting. Ultimately, the funny thing is, I could still imagine it's not really having much effect, which is crazy because it's such an interesting thing. I guess it just shows how boring the Western democracies are. Like if something crazy like this happened in another country, it would be insane. But here, it's kind of like it's pretty insane, but it could just still ultimately result in nothing.
Well,
Anyway,
the things that's made people sick is that we saw Black Lives Matter last summer, and we saw George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, amongst many others, losing their lives to the hands of the police using police brutality and using their
mm,
force. And yet here we are, Trump supporters sieging on Capitol Hill, and they were waving them through. It's just it's hard to get your head around. And of course, I don't know whether you've seen the image of the guy just walking out with the lectern,
oh yes,
and
yeah,
like a medal. I mean, it's I don't get it. I really don't get it. Like when people will ask me, say, "Oh, I'd want to go to America. I want to, go on there." And of course, you were there last year.
mm, yeah. Thank God I was there last year.
Do
Oh
you,
wow, like yeah,
but you'd question why.
mm,
Like, and we're not even talking about COVID here. We're not even discussing
yeah,
how the virus is. We're talking about basic democracy and respecting democracy, which is what we did in 2016. We suckered up the result and we said, we are going to accept the result. And here we are 4 years later, even when we have a moment to change what has happened and move forward, they
Yeah.
can't. Right.
Yeah, and also I think there's a difference between protesting to express discontent with the result versus protesting to express the idea that you want the result to be changed. Because like obviously people protested after Trump won in 2016, but it was not like protesting he didn't win, he shouldn't be inaugurated. It was more like we don't like him and we want to show that we dislike him. In this case, these people are protesting literally with a mind towards screw democracy, put Trump in charge. And that is, yeah, it is strange. And I guess, the one, I mean, yeah, and I agree with you that it's absolutely hypocritical. Anyway, let's move on to canceling some more stuff.
Yes.
And I'm going to be canceling January. And the reason this is the thing, Kate, I'm not canceling this month specifically. I'm not canceling January 2021. What I'm canceling is the idea of January. And here's my beef about January. January is usually the coldest month. It's colder than December. I guess it's not the darkest month, but because I think the winter solstice has been, but it's still a pretty dark month. It's a pretty cold month. It's a pretty miserable month. And the issue I have with it is that there's nothing. Basically, January is December, but without Christmas. And this is my beef. January is just such a boring, forgettable month, and it's kind of like it's just very strange because it's like this is how we start our year. We start our year, and it's like obviously there's kind of the residue of Christmas because as we know, Christmas doesn't technically end until the 12th day of Christmas, the 5th of January, but it's the residue of Christmas, and then boom, you're straight into just one practically whole month of coldness, miserableness, and what is there? There's not like a single meaningful festivity in January. Like I can't even there's nothing. I mean, obviously, yeah. Once you get past New Year's Day and all that stuff, there's just nothing for the whole month. And you think, why would you start off on a month this boring? Like, why not start off in December? That way you get to start off with Christmas, or start off in the summer. That way you start off warm. It's kind of like it naturally is going to make you pessimistic. It's like, how are we going to start our year? Oh, let's start it in just the shittest month. So yeah, I think we need to come up with a system. We need to come up with like more holidays in January or something because it's just not going to work. So I'm canceling January.
No. So just simply because my birthday is there. No.
Oh yeah, my mum's birthday is in January actually.
Yeah, so you'd essentially be cancelling that. I mean, I can see your arguments for it. I mean, it's not really the most exciting of months, especially now when most of January for us is completely written off. We're already looking forward to May. That's how depressed we are.
Yeah.
But it's a fine month. I mean, it's a month to get stuff done.
I guess.
And it's to make get plans off the ground to, it's on any normal year it'd be the plan of, oh, what should we achieve this year? We're gonna buy our own house, we're gonna go on holiday, we're gonna get married, we're gonna that's what you do in January. And there's nothing greater, and I don't know whether you experienced this at school, where going back to school after Christmas compared to Easter and after the holiday break is like a time that like no other, where you sort of find out how people have been and how what they've got for Christmas, and sort of you're all on the point where you all feel sluggish. You all feel slow. Of course, Blue Mondays is on the 20 something of January, which is traditionally the worst day of the year. 18th of January is Blue Monday. But we all get through it. I think January is actually a very British month.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it seems like your argument is basically you like it because it's miserable, which is just
it's different. It's different, is what it is. Because every other month has stuff going in it. February has the Super Bowl. March
February
has
also
Cheltenham.
has Valentine's Day.
And Valentine's Day and the Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl, right? April has Easter. May is starting to get warm.
And it's got May Day.
And May Day. June, July, August is the summer. It's the summer. and then September, October is autumn, and then we're back round to November, December again.
Yeah,
It's
November's jam packed. I find it weird that autumn actually has like quite a few holidays in it, and you just think autumn's already pretty fun. I think, I mean, I know we can't get back and change that stuff, but I feel like Halloween could really do with being in January, just so that January's got something going on. But then, I guess everyone would be complaining it's too cold. So, I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe January has to be boring because it is so cold.
mm,
And I guess you could say maybe January's a blank slate to make your own fun. But you know what, Luke? I hate it.
tough. Deal with it.
What are you canceling?
This will come as no surprise. I'm cancelling Donald J. Trump. As we discussed in the news, a pretty easy decision. I just think because let's take the presidency away for a second. Let's look at the man himself.
Let's take it away for more than a second. Let's take it away forever.
If only there was a way to decide that democratically,
Yes.
but by a form of an election college. Anyway, let's look at Donald Trump as a person. He is riddled with scandal, with just evil intention and lies, and he still gets away with it. Like
Almost admirable.
until 2016, until he decided to run for president, he had Trump University, which was highly criticized. He had Trump hotels, which were being complained about by workers and by landowners as well.
Trump golf
He
course
Trump
in
golf course
in
in
Scotland.
Scotland, and I think he's got one in Clare in Ireland as well. I mean, it's ridiculous about his brute force. Have you ever seen there was, I think it was a documentary where wherever he was building is I think it's Troon, where his course is in Scotland.
Mm.
Um, there was they spoke to the locals about whether they would give over their lands, and they do it. And they're like, no way. Why should we have to move for him?
Building his golf.
Because it's not our land. Yeah. And sort of the way that they were speaking about him, like he is the devil. And what we've emerged to see is that he's ridiculous. Here's another point, right? And this is something that came out yesterday. Of course, I'm a massive wrestling fan. And he's got
Mm.
major ties with Vince McMahon, and of course, that they were involved within the Sports Council. I believe it was in October, as a way to restart sport, and of course, it was Vince along with the NBA, NASCAR. You get the idea.
Mm.
But of course, Donald Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer. He was on WrestleMania 23, where he faced Vince McMahon in a hair versus hair match. Which of course Trump wins, and there's the picture of Trump shaving Vince McMahon's hair. He hosted WrestleMania 4 and 5 in Trump Plaza, which actually wasn't Trump Plaza. It was Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. And sort of the way that he has a presence in wrestling, as if to say, I've just casually bought my way into the club. And of course, with Trump and McMahon being good friends, and of course Linda McMahon is part of Trump's team, is that he's very clever and very smart in the way that he comes up with his plans, and the way that he conducts himself.
Mm.
It's almost like a good villain in a film, in that you
Yes.
sort of
He's
you
like
look at
Lex
him and you
Luthor.
think, exactly, you think about how does he think about these ideas, and how does he execute them. And the worst bit is, for the last 4 years, what we've seen under his presidency, we're seeing the villain on top, and it's mental. But come the 21st of January, it will all be over.
Well, you know what, Luke? Have you considered the fact that Donald Trump may be terrible, but at least he's different
In what way?
in that he's so terrible, so much more terrible than anyone else, So at least he's, all these other presidents.
Who are we meant to be comparing to? Vladimir Putin,
We'll compare him to
El Bassett
Obama.
El Megrahi. I mean, Benazir Bhutto. Like, do you want to take your? I don't know who you want to.
Let's compare him to Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau, sure, his hair's good, But Donald Trump, his hair is different. Justin Trudeau, sure, his skin is a normal tone, normal shade, but Donald Trump's skin tone is different. Justin Trudeau, sure, his hands are normal and stuff, and like nice, but Donald Trump, his hands are different. Can't argue with this, can you? Justin Trudeau's level of racism, pretty standard level of racism. Donald
What do
Trump's
you mean
level of
standard?
racism.
I swear he blackfaced.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But who hasn't? That's the thing.
And I'm pretty
You know,
sure he said some things to India, whereas Donald
yeah,
Trump went to India.
yeah. Justin
Um,
Trudeau is an appropriate amount of racism. That's what I like. I'm a moderate centrist, and I like a reasonable amount of racism. Maybe Donald Trump is too much racism.
The thing is with Canada, I'm just waiting for Rob Ford to be made Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah, that would be good. Like, it's kind of, I feel like he missed his chance with the whole, like, because when you had Trump and Boris in
Yeah.
power, if
Could you imagine
Ford
Rob
came
Ford in
in,
the middle?
exactly, yeah. I don't know, like, I don't think Australia's really had, like, they had, what, Tony Abbott, and he was
Yeah.
kind of considered, but he was never really as much of a crazy person. I mean, I guess if Australia wanted to elect somebody, they could elect the guy who did the shooting in New Zealand. Just be like, yeah, everyone else is electing these crazy people. We'll elect that guy.
Isn't it mad that in 2021 that we look to New Zealand as the leading force in democracy with Jacinda Ardern? They're now COVID free, and everything is back to normal there. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
mental.
Pretty country too.
A
So
beautiful country.
yeah,
Certainly, if when I make my millions, not if, is somewhere that I'd love to go on holiday.
yeah. Although I think people who live in New Zealand are crazy because imagine living somewhere that's so separate from everywhere else. It's basically like it's kind of New Zealand is the country version of just
Mm.
being an introvert. Like New Zealand is like if you knew some guy and you lived up in a mansion in the mountains, up an old dirt road. You'd be like, oh man, I mean, it's a nice place, but it's got to be nothing to do up there because it's going to take him ages to get somewhere else.
Mm.
Whereas living in England is like living in the city. It's kind of like sure it's a bit crowded and dirty and filled with lots of ugly people and stray dogs, but plus side, it's close to things. Germany, France, even London, even the US isn't that far away. You live in New Zealand, it takes you like a 7 hour flight just to get to Australia.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. That's probably why no one's. I mean, but to be fair, that's the thing. Like New Zealand, it's somewhere where you should just go for a visit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this has moved very far away from the subject of Donald Trump. But
Yeah.
in fact, but I do think maybe, Donald Trump, obviously, when Napoleon, another famous kind of charismatic person who, let's say, flirted with going beyond the boundaries of democracy, we sent him off to St. Helena to go live out the rest of his days there.
Yeah.
We should do the same thing with Donald Trump. I would
No.
pay to see that reality show. Just send him into exile on some island somewhere.
Yeah, that's all well and good, but in 3 weeks he'll be turning it out as Trump exile, coming to check out the latest Trump resort.
I know, yeah, exactly. And then next thing we know, he's got all of his all the people who've gone there having another Waterloo. Just shows up like, oh, I'm back,
Yeah.
ready to have a fight. Which that would be fun though. I mean, I guess that's the disappointing thing about Trump. At least a civil war would have been interesting, but it seems like we're not even going to get that.
You sound so disappointed.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have affected me, and I would have got to watch it. And to be fair, America wouldn't be able to be like destroying the planet so much with all of their production if they had a
Yeah.
civil war. Anyway, so yeah, no, I agree. Let's cancel Donald Trump.
Awesome.
He's gone. Ah, that was a good chat. All right.
3 out of 4. That is not bad for a
yeah.
good. And you know what? I think we've really delved into detail this week. I'm really impressed with that. I think that is a good start. That's how we should start 2021. That's why we need January in our lives, so we can continue where we start.
Yes, that's true. January, I guess it is a good opportunity to calm things
If
down.
you want to get in touch, we'd love to hear your comments, your emails, your views, and your issues that you'd like us to consider and to cancel. You can contact us. It is cancelcouncil@gmail.com. That is CANCELCOUNCIL.
I'm just gonna have to
YT
start
at
fast forwarding through
gmail.com.
that.
Also, you can find us on social media. It is Council to YT on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. It's CANCELCOUNCIL.
I've realized if I start talking earlier, it means it's more likely that you'll actually interrupt me and say the YT rather than just having to wait in complete silence until you're ready to say it. But I know that now that I've said
YT
that.
in the middle of the sentence. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'd love to hear from you and love to read your comments. Until next week, I have been Luke Anti-Walsh. That has been Michael Brown. Speak to you soon.
Back at ya.